Hi there, my name's Tom Russell, and welcome to Access All Areas, the Tom Russell Tapes. This is the latest in a series of interviews that I've had the pleasure of recording over the years. I've worked in the music business as a radio presenter for nearly 45 years now, specialising in rock music and interviewing rock bands from all over the world. So nearing the end of my adventures, I decided to dig out some of these old interviews and I'd put them out there for you guys to have a listen to. Got together again with a couple of old pals of mine, Scott and Andy from GlasgowApollo.com, and they're helping me put this series of interviews out. So far, we've had an interview with David Coverdale from Whitesnake, we've had Eddie and Alex Van Halen, and we've had Neil Peart from Rush. They're all up there available for you to watch and listen to anytime you fancy it. Tonight we're going to be chatting with Barry from the band Shinedown. This was a more modern interview, as in I recorded it about 4 or 5 years ago, around about 2019 I think it was, when Shinedown were playing at the Hydro in Glasgow. Went backstage and chatted with Barry, and it was an enjoyable interview, as you will no doubt notice if you listen in.
First thing I'm going to say, Tom Russell, is nearing the end. Nearing the end.
Probably get more years behind me than I have in front of me.
I reckon 30 years' time you'll be doing, let's talk about when we recorded Access All Areas, the Tom Russell tapes.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
So where were you when you recorded this interview?
This one was in the dressing room, or one of the dressing rooms of the Hydro in Glasgow.
Right, okay.
And you can probably tell from the sound, it was better acoustically than some of the interviews that we've done. It was just you just have to sit where you're told to sit, and you know, if the acoustics aren't great, especially if it's a big band, you can't start messing about and say, no, this room's not suitable, we'll need to go next door or something like that. You just have to suck it up.
Yeah, it does sound good though. I mean, we've spoken in other shows about venues, and obviously we're quite Scottish biased, but the venue that this is recorded at is a reasonably new one, isn't it? The Hydro.
It's reasonably new, but I think maybe 12-year-old, something like that.
Okay.
They replaced the late lamented Glasgow Apollo, the venue or the venues in Glasgow that took over when that went, as you'll be well aware, of the Barrowland, the ABC, which is sadly now demolished after the fire at the Glasgow School of Art.
I saw that.
Fabulous venue, I loved that venue. The Academy, which is similar in layout to the Apollo, but does not have the acoustics of the Apollo, in my opinion. They used the SEC, the Exhibition Centre, for a number of years, but the majority of the concerts they put on there, they didn't get the sound right. The sound, it was a very difficult job for the soundmen. And then finally, as I said, 10, 12 years ago, they built the Hydro, which a lot of people knock and they'll say, it's too big and all the rest of it. My opinion is, if we hadn't built the Hydro, we wouldn't be getting these big bands.
Yeah. How much does it hold, Tom?
12,000, I think it is, standing.
It's a good size.
10,000 seated, something like that.
Right, okay. Like tell me, can you give us a little bit of background to the band Shinedown? Do you know much about them, Tom?
First time they came over here to the UK, I'm pretty sure it was their first tour. They were playing in Glasgow, one show in Glasgow, and at that time, I think I mentioned it before, at that time, I'm not saying it was easier to get interviews with the bigger bands, but being reasonably established, as in 40 years of doing the stuff, you built up your contacts with the record companies. They trusted you. They knew you weren't going to be stupid.
Yeah.
So you tended to get these interviews. So back in, I think it was maybe 2009, 2010, round about there, Shinedown, this new American band, new to the UK anyway, were playing a show. And I had the radio station I was working with at the time was new and it was exciting, and everybody was keen and new ideas and fresh ideas. And I came up with this wee idea. But when a band was playing in Glasgow, it was relatively easy to get an interview, being established. I would ask the record company, they'd say yes. You then go to the gig, do the interview before the performance or after the performance, or sometimes it would be the interview in the afternoon in the hotel, or sometimes in the dressing room. It was all over the place. And sometimes they would offer, the record companies would offer you a session. They would say, I'll tell you what, Tom, how about we get the artists coming into the radio station, you can do the interview, and they'll bring a couple of acoustic guitars and do a couple of their songs in session.
Fab.
So I'd done that quite a few times over the years. And then I had this stupid idea. I thought, well, rather than doing a session just for me and the band, sitting in a studio, doing the session, and then broadcasting it, why don't we do something where we could have prize winners being in attendance? And I thought, that's not a bad idea. Only problem is, how many prize winners could we get into the studio? And realistically, we're probably talking 10 maximum, 6 or 8 more comfortably. So then I thought, and then I got talking to Angela, who's the sales rep, and she did all the promotions and stuff for the radio station. And we said, why don't we put the session on somewhere totally off the wall? And I says, something like, especially if it's an American band, something like one of the weird and wonderful pubs in Glasgow that they just don't have in America. You know, real 250-year-old pubs with sawdust on the floor. Why don't we get the bands to come in there and do a session, and we can do it for prize winners only? So Angela was up for that, so she went out and started speaking to some of the places like McSorley's in Glasgow, and what was the pub in the East End? Billy Connolly drank in it all the time.
Sarah Heed.
Sarah Heed, and places like that. But one of the first ones that we did was Shinedown. Asked the record company, Roadrunner Records, and they seemed quite happy. The band were quite happy to do it. So one of the first ones that we did was in a pub in Glasgow called the Solid Rock. It's a rock pub, and it just seemed like a good idea. So the guys from Shinedown came along, set up the gear, and did this session in front of maybe 40 prize winners. We were on a competition the week before on the station for prize winners, and we thought, right, what we're going to call it? The sessions, a bit naff. And I spoke to the then managing director or sales manager, one of the suits, and I told him about our idea. He says, "Oh, that's a great idea, Tom." I said, "Can I think of a name for it?" And he says, "Well, what is it?" I said, "It's a session." And he says, "Well, why don't you call it the secret session? Because nobody knows where it's going to be. The only people that'll know where it is you, the band, and the 40 prize winners. So you're not going to get hundreds of people turning up trying to get in for nothing." So it became the secret sessions. Shinedown were one of the first ones to do it, and it was downstairs in the Solid Rock in Glasgow.
Fantastic. I've seen a few of them, and they're actually very, very good, Tom.
On YouTube?
Yeah, very good. And I think it was at the Wild Hearts was one I saw, and that was excellent, really good. So yeah, good idea. You keep that up, mate. We should start it again.
Five Finger Death Punch was a good one.
Oh, they're quite a big band as well, aren't they? I mean,
they're now Shinedown, but they weren't at the time. They were quite hungry, quite happy to do promotion.
Oh, very good.
Hailstorm, with Hailstorm doing it.
Oh, she's amazing. She's
Blackstone Cherry, Slash, Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Wow.
Skunk and Nancy.
Oh, fantastic.
There were a lot of really good sessions. It was good fun.
Excellent.
Yeah,
However, we're here to talk about
We are.
today's tape, lost tape. So, what do you guys know about Shinedown?
I know a little bit about them because they are quite into promoting mental health issues. And a friend of mine, Paul, is a part-time therapist, and he recommended them to me. So I've heard the album that this tour was that you're actually talking about was actually a concept album about that, and about the journey through mental health. So that to me was very interesting. In terms of their music, it's probably a bit. It's not. What's it? It's kind of. I said before we started recording, a wee bit like Nickelback. You know, they're sort of the songs are kind of classic American rock, really. You know, and it's not really my flavour, but I quite enjoy them, and I like the guy's voice. He's got a terrific voice.
yeah. I had never heard of them before. Ever.
Phil's
Never
down.
heard of them before. No, just ignorant.
Yeah.
just ignorant of. You can't hear everything, but
No, you can't.
I listened to Attention today, which is the album they're promoting in this interview. Love yesterday and today, twice yesterday and once today. I think it's great. It's a great album. It's a brilliant. There's a great song called Get Up. I'm really.
Oh, aye.
That's a good
I'm
song.
digging it.
Yeah.
I'm digging that song. I'm
Very
like, I'm
good song.
like, I can see the message that they're saying, and I'm thinking,
There's another
wow,
good one.
I think I'll make that my alarm call,
Yeah.
alarm clock.
That's a good idea.
No, but it is Get Up, but it's just it's a good thing to think about to do. You know, just when you're stuck and you don't know what to do, you just think, just get up, come on,
Get on
have
with
a go at doing something, and
Yeah.
that's what
Ano-
basically they're just saying: get up and do something.
Another
Anything.
good one to check out, Andy's Black Cadillac. Great song.
Okay, I like
So
that. Too.
Devour, Sound of Madness, Black Cadillac. There's so many.
Yeah, okay.
I've had quite a few albums now. There's a couple of good bits to watch out for, folks, on the interview. As I've been explaining in each of the podcasts, these tapes were sort of lying upstairs in my loft, and unless people had listened to the interview back in the day, perhaps even recorded it, but there would only be maybe a few hundred, at best a few thousand people have ever heard these interviews. And I just thought, along with Scott and Andy, it's a shame that they're not out there somewhere so that people can hear them. And some of the highlights, when I listen back to this one, I like the highlight when he talks about being a glorified T-shirt salesman.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I like that. And I also liked, I probably chatted too much about it, but sometimes when you've interviewed, or I've been lucky enough to interview hundreds of folk, and sometimes you're just looking for something a wee bit different. And I think this particular interview is a without sounding arrogant, it's a perfect example. We're chatting away, getting on really, really well. He was a nice, chatty guy, nice and relaxed. And I can't remember how it came into but it popped into my head. I think he said he was out the night before, had a couple of drinks in Glasgow, and it popped into my head. I'll ask him. Did he have a wee sample of Scotch whisky when he was out? Just one of these silly things that pop into your head, and it ended up being about 5 minutes of the interviews chatting about whisky. Probably nothing to do with the music, nothing to do with plugging their album or anything. It was just two guys sitting having a chat about whisky.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed that part of it.
But it was a nice little insight into him
as a person.
I mean, yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, people like whiskey, but it's good the way I like the way you said what should. Anyway, you'll find out later in the podcast, in the interview. I thought it was really good. Yeah.
So is it time to have a listen to it? Recorded about five years ago in Glasgow, Scotland. This is an interview recorded in Glasgow, Scotland with Backstage at the Hydro in the dressing room with Barry, the drummer from the band Shinedown. Barry from Shinedown, welcome back to Glasgow, welcome back to Scotland.
It's good to be back.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Mm-hmm. New album out, and well, it's not that new really, it's 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years now, I guess.
People still talking about the new album?
Yeah, we're still getting a lot of good press on it, and people are still keeping us employed and keeping us touring, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. When an album... Excuse me.
It's all good.
We can end it. When an album's been out for a couple of years, but does it feel different? I mean, when you first record an album, release it, get your reviews, and you start touring with it, and you play certain songs that you think will go down well.
Yeah.
Does that change over the period of a year and a half, nearly 2 years?
Yeah, I think it does. One, you lose that. In a way, you lose the newness of the record. Like, I wonder what they're going to think. And now you know what they think. But you also get feedback from the fans of which songs they really like. And maybe songs we put in the set before, early in the record, didn't go over as well as we thought. And so then you maybe change those out and do different songs or different singles that have come out off the record. So, yeah, it changes over time, but you also get, I think, more comfortable playing those songs live, and they become kind of a different animal because you've played them a few times over, you know. When you first play those songs live, you're like, I wonder what the response is going to be, or are they even going to enjoy this? And now that people have the record and have been able to live with the record, you see the reaction in the crowd to those songs that you didn't see in the initial parts of touring on the record.
Is there sometimes a song on an album that you've tried to play live, but it's for technical reasons or whatever reasons that you just can't do it live?
Not that we can't do it live, but what we have noticed is some songs are like, we call them pancakes. We think it's going to go over well live, but it's like making pancakes for breakfast. You make them, you're all excited, you get about halfway through one pancake, you're full, and you're like, I'm done with these. And that's kind of how it is with certain songs. You play them live, and you think it's going to be great, and then it just kind of falls flat. Right. And no matter the sound or the way you felt the song felt on the record, it just doesn't transfer live. And there's certain songs out there that we've done that just didn't, for some reason, don't catch on to a live audience.
Now, Glasgow is one of these territories or areas that took to Shinedown fairly early.
Yeah.
Have you got good memories of Glasgow, and in Scotland in particular?
I do. Lots of good memories. I love Glasgow, and we've done Edinburgh as well, and Edinburgh's a beautiful city as well. What I like about coming over here is they did come on early, and the crowds are a little more active, a little more insane. You know, I have good memories of, you know, early days like King Tut's and those small clubs where it was just insane, and the fans were insane. And now that we're playing the Hydra, that's amazing to me. And every time we come back, it seems like there's more and more Scottish fans. And you know, a little bit honest, I enjoy the accent. I enjoy hearing the Scottish accent. It's when I can understand it. Certain Scottish accents I can't understand.
With your second name, I doubt if you've got Scottish blood in you, have you?
No, not much Scottish blood. My family's more. Even with my second name, I did that DNA test, and I'm Norwegian, English, and Irish, and that's about it.
That's not a bad mixture.
No, not
a bad mixture. How long have you actually been out on tour? You were here in Glasgow with Maiden, about a year or so ago?
God, almost 2 years ago, I think. This album, I think we're on our 215 or 20th show. We've been touring for about a year and 9 months, this record. So, yeah, we've been touring.
And do you do these interviews every afternoon, every day of the tour?
Yeah, just about. But this, it's better than staring at the walls waiting to go on show, I'm going
to try and ask you a question maybe that you haven't been asked before.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't thought it up yet though.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, it's interesting. It becomes in a way Groundhog Day out here. It just repeats and repeats every day. It's very similar, and it makes you really look forward to the crowds because that's the difference in your day. Because you wake up, do your interviews, your workout, your meet and greet, and we do meet and greets a little different. So we cap it at 40 people max because we go around and talk to each individually as band members. We go to each person and say hi to them, talk to them, see how their day is, instead of just doing a quick picture and get out. So that might take us an hour and a half. with 40 people, depending on how much, a lot of times the fans want to tell you stories, or they tell you how your music affected them, and that's important to us to give back to them because they spend the time and they spend the money to come to these meet and greets. So, that's part of your day. So then you do all that, and then next thing you know, you're an hour out from show. And then you do your show, you eat a little bit after show food, have a couple beers, go to bed, do it again. And it becomes that repetitiveness, but what's nice about coming over here is when you have a day off, exploring, seeing cities, walking around Glasgow or wherever we have a day off is, it's really cool being an American. We don't have the visual history that you do over here in Europe and the UK. And to be able to see, 1,000-year-old buildings that like it's nothing is amazing to me.
And of course, last night you had a little night in Glasgow, and you partook of a glass or two in one of Glasgow's best-known rock pubs.
I did. The name's escaping me, but I was there.
Solid Rock.
Solid Rock, yes. And apparently, you were telling me that we did a performance there about 10 years ago, and I actually, when I walked in there last night, it looked familiar, but I didn't remember the gig because it was so long ago, and you refreshed my memory. But yeah, I was there. Actually, we wandered around, and I went to my security guy John and I bought wool suits yesterday, so we put on nice wool suits and walked around the city and had a great time.
What, you're trying to say it was cold?
Yeah, it's very cold. I'm from Florida.
You mentioned meet and greets, Barry, and it's something that I've been in the industry a number of years, and there's a bit of debate goes on about the meet and greets. I know which side I come down on. I very much come down on your side. But some people still moan about it. Oh, why should the band be charging us to get the photograph taken with an autograph? And I try and, when people say that to me, I say, look, the guys are selling maybe 1 million albums. If they're lucky. 10 years ago, the same album would have sold 10 million albums.
Yeah.
But they've got to make a living.
Yeah.
So it's just the way the band make a living is different. You pay for a meet and greet if you want.
Yeah.
You buy a T-shirt if you want. You buy a ticket for the gig if you want.
Yeah.
It's just changed.
The music business has completely changed, and bands make their money by touring nowadays. You don't make money off records. Even if you sell 1 million nowadays, there's not a return on that. It's all Spotify and Apple Music, iTunes, whatever. They don't really pay the artist. They pay the label. They don't pay the artists. And so you make your money by touring. We joke in the band that we're a glorified T-shirt salesman. But that's the truth of it, and if you love a band, that's the best way to support them, is to buy their merchandise and pay for a meet and greet if you can afford to. And that's why we make an effort. If you do pay for that meet and greet, yes, they are very expensive comparatively to what they used to be. That's why we go around and say hi, and we hang out with you for a minute, and we ask you how your day is and all those things, like I said before, is because we realize that it costs money, and money doesn't grow on trees. Like you said, it's the music business. We got to pay for our families as well, and this is how we do it, by being gone all the time.
Let's take some music now and have a listen to the title track from the current album. This is Attention, Attention.
Fantastic.
That's Attention title track from the current Shinedown album, and Barry from Shinedown's our guest, and we're sitting having a chat and
yes.
Shooting the breeze, as the old Florida saying goes.
Yes, that is definitely one.
Why did you decide, or how did you decide that would be the title track? You've written a number of songs, you've got the songs ready, and you're thinking about an album. What makes you decide that is a great title for the album?
It kind of raised its hand because of the subject matter of the record, and we knew early on in writing the record that it was going to be a concept or a story that goes throughout the whole record. And it is about grabbing your attention, both musically but internally, because the whole record takes you on a journey from the main character walks into a room, you hear the person sit down, take a sigh, and devil kicks off, and the journey is pretty much overcoming your demons. Whether it's no secret that Brent, our singer, struggled with addiction for many years. He's doing great now, but there was a lot of it, and that our bass player struggles with depression, serious depression issues. And this record is basically the story of the four of us and how we deal with these issues put onto one character. And that character you hear sit down, devil kicks off, and they're in a dark, low place. And this record takes you through the journey of getting through that till you get to the end with Brilliant, and you hear the character walk out of the building. And it's really a statement of you're always going to have these issues, and everybody deals with these issues. But you can choose one way or the other, and you can overcome that. But you go through hell sometimes to get there, and that's where this record kind of takes you on that journey. So it is definitely raising attention to those issues, both seeing it as myself, seeing my friends go through it, or the actual person going through that. It's kind of a little bit of both, and I think that's why people, the fans, have related so well to this record.
Can we talk about whiskey for a moment?
Sure.
Barry? Are you fond of a dram?
I love me some whiskey. Yes. I'm not one of those whiskey nerds that goes, ooh, I have this huge collection or anything. But when I get a chance to have a nice whiskey, I definitely imbibe.
What's your dram of choice?
When it comes to Scottish whiskey, Macallan's. Yeah, that'd be my favorite. Just standard, great Scottish whiskey.
10-year-old, 12-year-old, 15?
I prefer a little bit older, like a 12 or a 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a little. It's just got more richness to it, I think. You know, I do like mine with one rock in there. I like it a little chilled.
One piece of ice?
One piece of ice. Yeah, that's the way I drink it.
A whiskey expert talked to me once upon a time, and he said the snobbery in drinking good whiskies is nonsense. If you enjoy your whiskey with a drop of ice, fine. Drop of water, fine. Some Coca-Cola or ginger ale or whatever, fine. If you enjoy it,
Yeah.
that's the main. That's
I'll
all
save
that
the
matters.
Coca-Cola for Jack Daniels.
Yes, well, yes.
Yeah.
You fond of a Jack as well?
Yeah, that was kind of my introduction to, I guess, whiskey in general. So it still holds fond memories, but I try not to have the Jack too often anymore. I'd rather enjoy a little bit nicer whiskey.
Can you remember the very first whiskey you drank?
It was Jack. It was definitely Jack.
What age were you?
I was in college, and I think it was just like a college. I played in the college marching band, so it was like a marching band party, and one of the guys had a bottle of Jack Daniels. I'm like, yeah, I'll have some of that, and that was my first introduction, and then I don't remember the rest of that evening.
What about the next morning?
Well, I remember. It was not a good morning.
No.
But, I was younger then. You bounce back quicker.
It's nice when you get a little bit more mature and you know when.
Yeah,
That was
when to
nice.
say when. Yeah, I don't miss those days.
Distilleries, have you ever been around a distillery?
I've been to a couple. I haven't been over here. No, I've never been to a whiskey distillery over here, but I've been to a couple like small ones in the States. There's one in St. Augustine, Florida, that is the St. Augustine Distillery. They do whiskey and they do gin. And then there was another one, and I'm forgetting the name, in the Carolinas that I went to. And it was a lot of fun. It was cool to learn. Actually, my brother and I bought my dad a still, like a personal still, a few years ago, because I grew up making beer and wine with my father, and still do make beer and wine with him occasionally when I'm home. So we got him a still as well. So we've been practicing with that, but it's a small one. You can make just a very small batch because technically it's illegal in the States to distill your own.
It's totally illegal. You're not allowed to distill maybe a few litres or a few
Yeah,
pints
you
or-
can still a little bit for yourselves, and I forget the volume, but if you get to a full cask size still, that's illegal. You have to become an actual business.
There's a new distillery opened here in Glasgow just a few years ago, and it's only 300 or 400 yards from here. It's just,
really?
Just along the river.
I'll have to, next time I'll visit.
Yeah. It's well worth it.
The problem with when I go to one of those places, you start doing the tasting, and then the rest of the day is done because you taste a little too much.
Smoky whiskies. Have you ever tried any of the Isla whiskies?
I'm not a fan of the smoky whiskeys. It's a little too. To me, it kind of takes away from the whiskey to me. And some people love it, but I don't enjoy it, the smokiness. I don't like smoked beers. I don't like anything with the smokiness unless it's a good piece of meat.
Some people, myself included, I was the same in my initial days of enjoying a whiskey. And I went to a couple of the whiskey tasting evenings where they start off with maybe a Glenfiddich and work their way through. And towards the end of the night, when you've got a little bit of a glow on you, they'll give you a smoky whiskey, an Isla whiskey, and a really peaty whiskey. And strangely enough, it tastes great.
Really?
Once you've had 4 or 5 and you just built up to it.
Yeah, because your taste buds are dead by that point.
Yeah, probably. Writing, I know the whole band contribute to the writing, but as a drummer, when you're actually in the studio, maybe the rest of the guys bring the ideas of a song in. How much does the drummer normally contribute yourself?
I think it depends on the band. For me, and the way our band works, when it comes to songwriting, I don't contribute it as much because of the way Brent, Eric, and Zach write songs. Especially Brent, he doesn't write rhythmically. It's all about the melody. So it'll be maybe an acoustic guitar thing with him figuring out the lyrics, or a lot of times we'll demo something out, with programmed drums and a quick demo of an idea, a song idea, and then he'll take that with him, disappear in a hotel room for a day, and figure out what he's trying to sing over the top of it, and then it kind of evolves that way. On this record, there was one that I helped write called Creatures, and that was an interesting one because the demo was completely different. It was more like an orchestral piece, and we couldn't figure out. We knew lyrically we wanted the song on the record because it fit what was going on, but it didn't fit the record. And so we were sitting in the studio, and Brent looked at me and said, "Just go play something to it." I was like, "Fine, huh?" Went out in the studio and played to it, and that performance you hear drum-wise on that song was very spontaneous and organic because it was like the second or third take of just trying to play something to the song, and it completely changed the song and made it what you hear today. But yeah, typically Shinedown writes very independently and bring ideas together with each other later on.
Who's the best drummer of all time?
No such thing. There's no such thing.
In your opinion?
That's tough. I'd say either John Bonham. See, I don't like, not that I don't like, I appreciate, technical players like Neil Peart or something like that, but it's not my style of drumming. I like to feel a song, so for me it'd be either John Bonham or James Brown drummers. That's what makes me feel something as a drummer.
Were you aware of a drummer called Ted McKenna?
No.
Glasgow boy, or Glasgow man, sadly died last year. He drummed with a band called the sensational Alex Harvey Band.
Okay.
And also with Michael Schenker's.
I know who Michael Schenker's, yeah. Okay.
And he came up in the 60s, and John Bonham taught him to play. He was a good friend of Bonham's, and I just think he was sensational. It was just interesting to see what they...
Yeah.
Check out the sensational Alex Harvey Band, they were called.
Okay, sensational.
Reasonably big in the UK, 70s.
Okay.
And then Alex the singer died, and they all went their own separate ways. But very, very good songs. Dead Daisies covered one of their songs last year.
Okay.
Called Midnight Moses.
Okay.
Good song, but worth checking out. One other question on whiskey, just before I forget, Barry. You mentioned Macallan, and I think especially in America and Japan, the Far East, Macallan releasing very, very collectible bottles that people don't open. They just file away for a few years and then maybe open then, or maybe sell on at a profit. Yeah. What's your opinion on that?
If you're into it and you can pay attention to those things, anything that's a collectible, I think that's great. If you want to make some money off it. I've got a friend of mine that actually collects whiskeys in that regard. He'll go, he's got his couple liquor stores that he can go to, and they'll say, "Oh, we're getting a new shipment," and he'll go get a couple bottles from whatever that collectible is. For me, I'd rather just drink it. So, I'm not a collector of such things. I'd rather collect drums and drink some whiskey.
Plans for 2020?
It's 2020. We got to write another record, so that's definitely going to happen during 2020, and we have some stateside touring. Some big festivals in the spring, and then we're doing in between those festivals we're doing kind of like an evening it's called the Deep Dive Tour, where we'll play a little bit longer sets at more intimate venues in the States, like I say intimate, but 2,000 seaters, 1,000, 2,000 seaters, but smaller than what we typically play over there. And we're going to do a lot of deep cuts and fan favorites and things like that, and maybe not remix but redo certain songs or do them in a different way. That's kind of like just a tour for the fans, and it's not going to be the big production or anything like that. It's going to be just the songs. So we'll do that and write a record, and then 2021 is when we'll come back over here on a headlining or on a proper headlining because we need to, and hopefully have a new record to support that.
Do you get home for Christmas back to Florida?
Just in time. We fly home. We have a show. Our last show over here is at the O2 in London Then we fly home on the 22nd. So, barring any weather issues, I'll get home for Christmas.
Have you bought your presents?
I did. Thank God for Amazon. Whether you hate it or love it, it definitely helped me out when I was, what I'm not looking forward to is my wife sent me, I went overboard, and I have a 9-year-old daughter. So my wife sent me a picture of all the boxes stacked up by the front door. She was not happy because she can't open because there's stuff for her in there. So I have to wrap all these presents right when I get home.
Final question, Barry. What's your sport?
Tennis. Yeah, I played tennis all the way through high school. I was on the tennis team. Was a decent player. Too short to be a great player. But I loved tennis growing up. I played a little bit of soccer or football when I was younger. Kind of fell away from that. My mom was a semi-pro tennis player, so she taught my high school team and taught me from very early on to play tennis. So I enjoyed that. I enjoy watching American football. I never played it, but I do enjoy watching it and still watch it today. But tennis was definitely my game.
Do you think Andy Murray will get back up there?
Say again?
Do you think Andy Murray will get back up there?
No. I hope, but I don't think so.
A hip's a big thing to lose, isn't it?
It is, and that's I don't know how you recover from that fully and be as strong of a player, but people come back all the time in football as well, when they get hurt. So I never count anybody out. Look at Tiger Woods. Never count anybody out.
Perfect example. Barry, pleasure talking to you. Have a good one tonight.
Absolutely, we will.
We'll see you 2021.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. That was smashing. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for taking the time. It's great. Are you sticking around for the show?
Yes, of course.
Great.
Yep. Any idea what time there's 4 bands, isn't there?
Yeah, it's there's 3 bands. The Raven Age, because Seven Dust, had to cancel.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Yes, Morgan, the drummer, he ended up having to have emergency surgery. He's fine, but some sort of intestinal thing. So
Is he out for the whole? Well, obviously he's out for the whole tour.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So the Raven Age, who was on the European dates, is filling in on these dates.
Oh, right. And so they'll be on that.
6:45 is when the Raven Age starts.
Right.
We go on at 7:40. All the is at 9:05.
That's perfect. I've got my Alter Bridge interview at 6 o'clock, so that.
Perfect.
Perfect. Just nice time.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Thanks. Appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thank you.
Hopefully we'll do this again.
Cheers.
Do you need a,
I'll find my way out. Yes, I'll be fine.
So that was Barry from the band Shinedown. That was a really good interview, Tom. Your setup was quite right. It was a good interview. You seemed really cool, and you were asking. I think you asked some really insightful questions, actually.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, it was an enjoyable one to do, but the enjoyment as an interviewer comes not from, in my opinion, not necessarily from asking the right questions. It's the person that you're interviewing being interested, and you can actually, and I think you can tell from that conversation. It was just 2 guys, 2 music fans, sitting in a room having a chat.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tried to.
You could tell,
especially in the later part of my career. That's what I tried to do.
I thought it was interesting when you asked him how many gigs have you done, and he said like 260, I think, something like that. And you went, oh, geez, oh. and then he goes, and you went, I think you asked him. So you do an interview every day or every afternoon? He said, yeah. So he's done all those interviews and he's still interested. Yeah. Enough.
Oh, he was in the room, wasn't he, mate? He was in the room.
Yeah.
There's no
yeah.
He was in the room.
He wasn't phoning that in.
No.
He was there with you.
Yeah. I think the way you started it, Tom, was actually a really good question. I don't think I've ever had anyone ask that question before. It's like the relationship that the bands have with their music in terms of particularly new songs. And you corrected yourself because it was 2 years the album had been out, but they were still touring that album. And you asked them, what's it like when you finally get a song that you've spent, a long time writing and recording. What's it like when you bring them on the stage? And then sometimes the fans don't particularly like it as much as you do. And I thought that was a really insightful moment. That I think that's something that bands rarely discuss. That
it's a question I've asked I've actually asked that question on more than one occasion
Have you?
with bands. It's something that I find it quite interesting. You know, you imagine a band sitting in the studio, they record a song, and they think, oh, that'll go over fabulous live.
Yeah.
We can bring the chorus in here, and the audience will join in this little bit. So then they go out and tour, and the audience, they're not interested.
Doesn't like
It must be soul destroying.
It must be. Well, he called it a pancake, didn't he? He called it a pancake.
He did,
song.
yeah.
That's good. I like that. You spend all that time making the pancakes, and then you're halfway through eating them, and you decide you don't like them anymore. You know, and I think that was quite insightful. Quite insightful.
I also enjoyed the bit where he talked about the fact that the day off the day before, and he'd walk around the streets of Glasgow, went in some shops, did he say he bought a suit? Or
a wool suit, he said, him and his mate. Yeah.
Because he was cold.
Aye.
Yeah.
I mean, just before that, I talked about. I mean, this is. I know this is a fan, I guess, but it was really nice that when they were out drinking, they went to the Solid, because that's the rock pub, isn't it? So they actually went to a rock pub. They didn't. Maybe that was because we're doing a session for you, but they went there anyway and had a drink there. And I thought that was quite cool as well, because you quite often, these guys are quite aloof, but there he is in the Solid Rock with all the rock fans.
The session had been 10 years earlier.
Aye, yeah. But I thought that was nice. I thought that was the kind of thing that I'd hope I would do. You know, if I was in a band and I was going around the world, I'd want to go into the rock bars, see the punters, you know, and see the actual fans.
But he also said, and I don't think it was condescending when he said, I just love coming to places like Glasgow and Edinburgh, the UK in general, and walking around looking at the history, because we don't have these old buildings in the States. The oldest buildings we have are a couple of 100 years old.
Yeah.
But you go to Edinburgh and there's a castle up on the hill that's over 1,000 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
That was nice.
It must be a real culture shock. And another question that I thought again was really good was when you were asking about, you know, meet and greet, and you know why bands now do that, and it was obviously as a consequence of the way the music industry has changed.
Yes, and he answered it very, very well, I thought.
He did.
I probably said too much rather than let him answer it, but I chipped in my opinion just because of the way the conversation was going. And it's so true that if bands are no longer selling as many albums, it used to be you sold your albums and you went on tour to promote the album, sold the albums, and that made your living. It's totally the other way around now, isn't it?
Yeah.
They go on tour to sell T-shirts and sell merchandise because they don't make any money on the record sales.
Funny, Andy and I we were talking about this on our other show on Friday, because Leo Sayer was back in Glasgow last week, and he comes to Glasgow every year, you know, because he sells out that venue. What's it called, Andy? Can you remember the name of the venue? The Royal Concert Hall, is it that one?
Royal Concert Hall in Glasgow.
He sells it out. I mean, he doesn't sell many records these days, but he sells it out, and folk absolutely love him. You know, and that's how he's making his living now. You know, he's coming back. He lives in Australia, comes back, does these gigs, makes his money, and goes back. And it's quite nice for that sort of artist that they can sustain a career, because selling records is just very difficult and not very profitable.
It was strange, Leo Sayer. I thought he had some great pop songs. Really, really good pop songs for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then it just ceased. It just stopped. No releases, no singles, no tours for I don't know how many years. I don't know whether it was a fallout with a record company or what happened, but he just seemed to disappear. Gilbert O'Sullivan was the same.
He was huge, wasn't he? Gosh, I'd forgotten about him. That's all right.
I listened to Rock on Tours last week, and they were talking to Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Oh, were they?
And he was in a big court battle with his manager for a long time.
Right.
And his manager, anyway, if you have a listen to it, it's very good.
Okay.
But that's why he probably didn't release a lot of stuff for like maybe 3 or 4 years. But he records everything.
Does he?
He like anything he thinks of, he's recording it on
Right.
a tape, on a ghetto blaster above a piano. That's how he
All right.
records his songs.
Wow.
He does his demos.
Because he wrote some amazing songs, pop songs. Amazing.
Yeah.
On the songwriting,
Mm.
always interests me how they go about songwriting, especially a drummer. You think, well, what does a drummer add to the songwriting? Neil Peart from Rush is obviously an exception.
Yes.
But it tends to be singer and guitarist and a lot of the bands that write the songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him about that, and he more or less says, I don't contribute that much. It's down to the rest of the guys, but I do add a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, again, is something that in the early days of a band doesn't raise its head, but after a couple of albums, when the royalty checks start pouring in,
Yes.
and the singer's getting X amount of pounds because he wrote the lyrics, the guitarist's getting Y amount of pounds because he wrote the melody, and the drummer's getting hee-haw, even though he played the drums in the song.
And that led you on to talk about, and how dare he not have heard of the sensational Alex Harvey band?
Yeah.
Now, what's going on there?
Yeah.
I thought you were getting ready to punch him there, Tom.
Yeah.
How?
He'd heard of Michael Schenker,
Yeah.
Yeah, he had.
Yeah.
but wasn't aware of Ted. And I still maintain that Ted McKenna was a fantastic drummer.
He was a
Fantastic
Oh, yeah,
drummer.
he is.
And I've seen a lot.
He was, yeah, sorry.
That's about it for Shinedown. So I'm not sure what for next week. I'll have a wee rummage and I'll see what we can come up with. We've got Kiss, we've got AC/DC, we've got Blackstone Cherry, we've got Thunder. I'm sure we can find something that's worth listening to.
We're recording this near Halloween, and I've got this image of you dunking for apples with the names of the bands on them, Tom. You just said.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that tonight.
You want to have a rummage?
Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast. We've got lots more already recorded and lots more still to do. I've been rummaging in my loft, in my attic, on a regular basis. So if you'd like to subscribe, it costs you nothing. Just press the button that says subscribe and we'll tell you when the next one's coming up. Thanks for watching and listening.